Hey viewers, my name's Cara. It's still November 2020, and I haven't made any public videos on this channel yet this month. I have made one, I think, for my Patreon community. So they have heard from me. Well, they've heard from me because I talk to them a lot in general, but one video from me, and this is my first video on this channel this month. Every so often, stuff happens and mental health stuff happens and daily life stuff happens, and I just don't get around to doing videos. I actually had pre-recorded a video to then just edit and upload sometime this month back in October. But even that, I haven't sat down at my computer to edit because the desktop is in the office. My partner usually is in there doing their thing, and I'm out here with my desk. So I just haven't been in there using the desktop computer. So I haven't been doing any editing or anything. This video also will most likely be a direct upload, no editing. But, it's the 21st of November. We're already getting close to the end of the month. So I thought it was worth an update. I just needed some time to kind of get my thoughts together and get up some energy and momentum to be able to even say anything. And this is always weird, right? Because making a public video, a lot of you, I know, many, many more of you, I do not know. And for all intents and purposes, you don't know me. So you do, but you don't, right? So it's always weird when I have anything kind of life update stuff to say that kind of matters at all, because I don't want to freak anyone out, and I also don't want unsolicited advice. So please just keep that in mind. I don't need any advice. We are doing what needs to be done. Now, with that great intro, I'm sure you're all really worried right now, so I will just say it's a two-part update. Firstly, my mother has tested positive for COVID-19 within the past week. She does not live in the same state as me. We live almost on opposite ends of the country, so I do not see her very often. But I talk to her all the time, of course. So she is positive. She lives in an area where regulations and protocol have not been very strict at all. She was in one of the last states to close anything down at all earlier this year. And then they were reopening things just about a week and a half after they were finally told to close things down. And my mom works for a living and already has health issues and stuff like that. So while being as careful as possible, doing all the things that we're supposed to when we're out in public, wearing a mask, everything like that, she has had to work. And someone else who is close to her started feeling sick a little while ago. So they got tested because they were showing some of the same symptoms. It turned out they were positive. So as soon as my mom heard that, she started self-quarantining, informed her employers and friends, I'm getting tested because I have been exposed to someone who has it. Found out she is positive as well. So she is in quarantine. Again, no advice or anything like that is necessary because she's been doing everything that she is supposed to do from this point. If you want to send her some positive healing energy, that would be awesome. Her name is Rose. And you can just say Cara's mom. I'm sure her energy will answer to that. Also, my partner and I are quarantining together because we live together. Not just because cases have been exponentially rising here in Ohio, where I live, but because my partner was also recently exposed to someone at their workplace who turned out to be positive and didn't say anything at the time, So that's a thing. And just to be safe, my partner started, self-quarantining and sought out a consultation online and then over the phone with a physician from Cleveland Clinic who, based on the information given about the nature of the exposure, the length of time that they were around this person at their workplace, even though they were both wearing masks and my partner and all other employees are wearing gloves and all these types of things, based on the description given and the length of time that was involved, the physician said, yes, to be absolutely safe, you should be quarantining for 2 weeks. Therefore, so am I. So, restrictions are not, as far as I've seen, they're not super strict here, although I believe they should be. I think they should be a lot more strict than they are in Ohio. And I haven't looked at the news like today, so maybe there have been more things put in place and I just haven't noticed. But I know they've been urging people to reconsider if they had been planning to see family for the upcoming holidays, to please not to do that unless it's family that you already live with, that you've already been exposed to this entire time, but like to please not like mix households and things like that, because that can just continue to spread this thing. And so, without getting too like pedantic about it, I urge you to follow that advice. Like I said, my mom already has health problems, so I've been kind of worried about her getting this in the first place because it can just exacerbate the problems that she already experiences. So far, she's been feeling okay, but it's like okay is mainly like a lot of the symptoms of this virus are things that she already deals with anyway. So it's right now, it's not much worse than her everyday health issues. But that's also why it's kind of hard to tell. And kind of me too, right? Because some of the symptoms are things like headaches and fatigue and nausea. And like those are things that I deal with on a pretty regular basis. So I also don't have any symptoms yet that, tell me that like we've definitely gotten this thing. We were told that if we start experiencing symptoms, then we get tested. Or if we just don't have any symptoms for 2 weeks, we're good to go. But we probably will get tested. It's just that it hasn't been very long. It's only been a few days. So we were actually told we can't really get tested yet because the tests that they have available are best taken at about a week after the possible exposure, because other than that, it's like too soon for them to tell kind of thing. So we probably will end up getting tested anyway, just so we know for sure about current status. But yeah, it's only been a few days, so like I'm not working at the Buckland Museum right now until we figure out what's going on, because of course I don't want to risk passing it on to people there. My partner is not working because they don't want to continue to spread it there, even though, of course, anywhere that we go, anytime, there could be a person like what happened at my partner's workplace, that a person comes in who is positive, who doesn't say anything, and you don't know. So it's always best to make sure that you're always wearing your mask in public, over your nose, covering your nose and mouth, right? And just being as safe as possible all the time, because we never know. But in this case, we know that someone was positive, so it hit a lot differently, right? So, yeah. So we're in quarantine again at home, and it's whatever, because I mostly work from home. I do work at the Buckland Museum. I started working there again in October, so I helped out throughout the last month, but currently I am not there again because we're being safe. And when I have been there, though, again, with all safety measures and protocol in place, strict limitations to the amount of people who can be in the building at any given time, social distancing, wearing masks, we have hand sanitizer all over the place, and just being really careful with that and taking it seriously. But we don't know what's going to happen with that anyway, because as I mentioned, cases are rising. I mean, a lot of places, but speaking specifically for my state of Ohio, So we don't know if we are going to get further restrictions, and maybe places like the museum will have to actually close back down again. So we're just kind of, we're hanging in the balance, you know? And so I just, you know, I don't know. I can say that I was going to say I can't speak for anyone else. So that's the end of that sentence. I can say that I am rather lucky that the only people that I would typically be seeing at obligatory family holidays, as I like to call them, are not people who live here. You know, well, like I live with my partner, but then, for example, my mother and my brother both live out of state. So we're definitely not getting together over the holidays, and there's no kind of temptation to, you know, visit a couple streets over to see family, like, because they're not right here. So it's very clear that, like, yeah, we're staying very distanced from each other. We don't live in the same state, none of us. And any of my family that is here, I'm already pretty disconnected from, and they're not people that I would be going to see right now anyway. So I am lucky in that regard. I know that it is very difficult for a lot of people right now because a lot of you are probably worried about, like, you might have family pressuring you to see them anyway because it's family and that's what you do, and maybe you're really worried about it because you want to be safe and you don't want to put people at risk, but it's causing a rift in the family and a lot of drama with that, you know, like, I have a lot of sympathy for that because I don't know what I would do in that case. I'm just so grateful that, you know, my grandma already passed away a couple years ago now. A couple years ago. Because if she was here, that would be the hard thing. It would be really, really difficult for me to, like, explain to her why I wouldn't have been able to go see her all year, because I would have been very worried about her health. And also, she lived with a bunch of other people in my family of all ages who would have been required to go to school during this time and could be bringing back, you know, all kinds of things. We always get sick, you know, back to school season. We're always getting bugs from the kids, and then, you know, now there's this, right? So I'm actually quite grateful that my grandma's already on the other side and doesn't have to worry about this from a corporeal standpoint. And now she can just be there in spirit to kind of remind us to be careful and, you know, whatever. I'm just really glad that she's not here, so I don't have to deal with that. Because I'm sure many of you are dealing with that, and know that I'm thinking about you and how difficult that must be. And I am not in that position, and so I cannot imagine how difficult it must be to do what you feel like is right in this time and balance whatever your family feels. And maybe your family and your significant others and your friends and whoever are on the same page, and they're like, yeah, we got to be safe, we can't get together. But that's still hard too, you know? Like, it's just difficult right now. And yeah, I don't know. So I guess I just wanted to kind of mention that I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about all of you whose situation is maybe not as easy as mine, because I don't really have to worry about seeing family anyway. It's not really a huge concern. We've already told my partner's family that we will not be able to see them, which, you know, it's always been distanced and all wearing masks in the first place, which is like, you know, it's even more difficult when it's something like Thanksgiving, which is a holiday centered around eating a meal together, because you can't feasibly wear a mask the entire time if you're enjoying a meal together. So I feel like this is an even more dangerous situation, right? Anyway, just wanted to say that, and also let you all know about my mom and me and my partner. We are not confirmed to have it, but we are quarantining because of exposure and not wanting to expose other people, because that is extremely important. Just because you never know who you're going to run into who is at high risk, but maybe had to go out to do something essential for themselves. And, you know, because they didn't have anyone else in their life that they could send out to do that errand for them. So, whatever. And just, I have a lot of friends who are at high risk, who are very worried about their health. And extrapolating that to the rest of my viewers, how many of you there are, I'm sure that a good percentage of you are also very worried and anxious and not having a good time right now. So I just want to let you know I'm thinking of you. I have some candles lit here. I'm sending you all just, whatever good stuff you need. Nothing prescriptive. I don't claim to know what anyone else needs, but just offering healing energy, offering calm energy, offering safety energy, whatever it is that you feel like you need. I'm sending some out there, so reach up and grab it if you feel like you need that for yourself today. And if you don't feel like you need it, if you're doing pretty well, maybe join me in sending some out to other people so that they can take some for themselves from the ether. I like to imagine it in bubbles, like blowing a bubble full of this feeling, full of a certain energy, and letting it float off into the air, and they're just kind of hanging out up there for anybody who needs to reach up and pop one and let it rain down over them with that energy. But whatever visualization works for you. And I just felt like I should update you about it, but it's always nerve-wracking because, again, it's like I don't need unsolicited advice. I don't need to hear people's opinions about whether or not the coronavirus is real. I don't need to hear that. Just as my what's going on upstairs? Just as my viewership, I feel like I should keep you updated every so often, right? So that's that big update. And we're right about at the 17-minute mark here, 17:10 on my recording. So other updates, I have fallen quite behind on my reading goals. I'm like a good 3 weeks behind in my reading because for a couple of weeks there, I didn't get any reading done. Like, I haven't been feeling well, and that was before the potential exposure, right? Like I said, some of the symptoms of coronavirus are also just cold and flu symptoms, and they're also just like things that I deal with on a daily basis. Like congestion and headaches and nausea and all of these types of things. So, and fatigue. Fatigue is a big one. Also happens to be related to depression often. So whenever I'm dealing with that a little bit more, I tend to get a lot more sleepy. I tend to not be able to stay awake for as long of periods of time. And trying to focus on reading when that happens is really difficult. So I was going along really well with my reading goals and my progress. I felt super productive for quite a while. And then like mid to late October and into the beginning of November, I got like next to no reading done for a while. A few days ago, I felt really motivated to get back into it again, and I caught up on a couple different books that I'm reading right now. I got myself caught up to where I wanted to be by this week in those couple of books because those chapters were shorter. So I figured I can knock these out and get caught up on these books instead of trying to go back and catch up on a couple of the bigger books with longer chapters that I've fallen a bit further behind on. So yeah, I'm kind of plugging along with that when I can, but also trying to be gentle with myself that, if I'm not getting it done, I'm not getting it done. I'm taking care of myself. Kind of same thing with the videos. Like, I know a lot of you always say, if you're not up to making a video, don't worry about making a video, just take care of yourself, take some time for yourself. The thing with that for me is that doing videos, my sponsorship, my support that I get from my Patreon sponsors for my videos or blog posts or anything else like that I do that I put on there is a major source of my income, along with working at the museum now, which has been really helpful. But even before that, it was mainly my videos. So when I choose to take time off of my videos, I'm also consciously aware that I am essentially choosing to take a pay cut for that month and that it will be more difficult for me to pay my bills for that month. So it's like I'm trying to take care of myself, but at the same time knowing that taking care of myself is also taking care of my financial health. And so I have to think about that. And that's a tough balance sometimes for me. So, like in a month like this month, where I haven't posted a public video until now, and it's almost the end of the month, So I really appreciate that so many of you are so supportive in that way, that you're like, yeah, if you don't feel like making videos, just don't worry about making a video. Like, don't force yourself. And I try not to do that. But it's also very stressful knowing that that means I'm not getting paid because I'm essentially not working, right? Because this is part of what I do. So, yeah, trying to go easy on myself with reading and making videos. If I really don't feel up to it, I wait, and I know that everything for me goes in cycles, as it does for all of us, and that I might have several days where I'm feeling really low energy and really low motivation, where I just can't get anything done. But then I know that eventually I'm gonna get a day where I can do it and I can get that work done, and then I do. And then it's good. So like today, I felt like I can sit in front of a camera and do a video today. So I am. And what else? I have been playing a little bit more Sims. I play The Sims 4. Some of you know that. Some of my Patreon people. Some people who have joined us in streams, my partner and I. I don't stream that often, but I was streaming a little bit more in October because I was playing one of my favorite spooky pagan games, which is called Barrow Hill. And I haven't yet posted the videos of those live streams on our YouTube channel. Not this one, but like the one that I share with my partner for gaming stuff. But I will be posting those eventually, so you'll get to see that whole playthrough. But I've been trying to make a little bit more time to play Sims 4. But again, it's like, for me, I don't make a lot of time to play games, so I've never really been a big gamer, but there are a few games that I really enjoy playing. And it's like, I feel like if I'm gonna take time to play Sims, I could also be taking that time to read a book, So if I'm like really behind in my reading, I feel like, no, I shouldn't play games. But on the other hand, they're such different things. Like, I don't need the same amount of focus to play The Sims as I do to read Triumph of the Moon or Drawing Down the Moon or anything, right? So I've been trying to allow myself a little bit more leeway with, like, maybe I want to play The Sims for a few hours. And there was recently a base game update where we now have platforms in build mode, which I don't know if any of, some of you might not know anything about The Sims. But any of you who have been playing Sims 4, platforms are kind of a big deal. Just like when we got movable staircases, like rotatable staircases that you can make angled instead of just a straight row of stairs, like that was a big deal. Platforms are a big deal. So I've been playing a little bit more. I really like building. I also like gameplay. I have started a legacy challenge. I'm not streaming it and I'm not like recording videos of it, but I've been taking screenshots along the way so that I will be able to record some videos maybe eventually while playing it. But mostly it's like I've got a few hours in the middle of the day or at the end of the night, so I just play it for a couple hours, make a little progress, and I don't really want to be worried about like streaming it or recording it. I just want to play, and but I have been taking screenshots as I go to like track my progress so I can talk about it as I go. But yeah, so I like Sims. That might be a thing you didn't know about me. I don't have that many packs. I am firmly in the camp of only buy the packs you want. You don't have to buy all of them, and also wait for them to be on sale, because the game is so expensive if you just buy them all full price. Also, EA Origin is kind of a pain in the butt. Like, we use my partner's account and they won't let us like update the username to match our YouTube username and the username that we use on Twitch and everything. So it's kind of annoying, but whatever. EA Origin. If you know, you know. So yeah, that, and there's a couple other games that I play sometimes. We haven't played it in a little while, but I've really been enjoying a game that we have it on the Switch, but it might be available on other platforms, called Spiritfarer. So you might want to look that up. I've talked to a couple people about it. I know, like, in Katie Flowers' Patreon Discord, I've been talking to people about it. You basically play, it's cartoony, it's animated, and you basically play a young psychopomp who is the Spiritfarer. You ferry spirits to the afterlife after you meet them, and you have to do all these different quest steps to kind of like help them through the things that they want to accomplish before their spirit is ready to move on. And you upgrade your ferry, and it gets bigger and bigger as you go, and you like build a little house for everybody, and you have to upgrade things, and there's all these different things that you have to build to craft. So there's a little bit of that. I know a lot of people play Animal Crossing. I don't, but there's a little bit of that same kind of like having to go gather things in order to craft things, in order to upgrade, and having neighbors and building their houses and stuff like that. So there's a similar element there, but I really like it. It's very cute. It's also very real. Like, sometimes when you're helping a spirit cross over, it gets through some real stuff, like a lot of death and dying and grief process stuff. And it's really, yeah, I don't know what to say about that other than like it's very real. It's very realistic at times, but it's also most of the time just very fun. And so I really enjoy it. Again, if you want to check that out, it's called Spiritfarer, Spiritfarer, Spiritfarer. Just to give you a spelling bee moment, I guess. But because I'm not editing this video, I can't put it up on the screen, but I could put it in the description, I guess. Sims 4, Spiritfarer. I also play a game called Graveyard Keeper, which is a lot like Stardew Valley, but more like gothic and morbid because you play a graveyard keeper. And I'll just let you look it up and read about it from there, rather than me try to tell you any more about it. But I stream that sometimes. I streamed that a little bit in October. Yeah, so that's another thing I do some of the time, but mostly I've just been sitting around, reading when I can, watching a lot of Sims YouTube videos to get, inspiration and see what other people are doing with the new updates, and just seeing how creative people can be, and also like watching other people's Let's Plays and stuff like that, because it's just fun. And Jenna Marbles isn't making videos anymore, otherwise I'd be watching those all the time, but I've been watching some of Julian's older videos that I haven't caught up with in a little while, and I'm completely caught up with their podcast. Like, I think the Jenna Julian podcast channel on YouTube is probably the only channel on YouTube that I have seen every single upload the entire way through. I love it. So I love Jenna and Julian. I watch like compilations of them still when I just need to laugh, or I just watch old videos. I'm so behind on anyone else's videos, like, in this community. I'm so behind. Like, I just can't wrap my brain around it sometimes, I know you know. So that's my update, I guess. Yeah. I hope you're all doing well as can be in these times. And I know that sounds like ridiculous because we're all saying stuff like that, but I mean it. Like, as well as can be under the circumstances. I will let you know if anything else really of note happens with me or my mom. But so far, everyone's doing okay. We're just, managing symptoms, making sure that it's just our everyday symptoms and not coronavirus symptoms, right? And so, healing energy all around for everybody would be great. I'm also taking a class right now, but perhaps that can be a bigger update another time. But I am currently in the middle of a 6-week class within the reclaiming tradition. It's one of the core classes that I have been, I'm trying to take all of the core classes as part of my personal sort of like self-curricula for moving toward becoming a trained teacher in the tradition. So this is the 4th core class out of what I originally thought were 4, but now there is a 5th one that I would love to take at some point, but it hasn't been offered as much yet, but it would be perfect for me because it's specifically a class about building community, and I am building community in my area. So that is a very specific thing to me. It's not as specific to many other communities around the world who already have established communities, but Ohio does not. So that is a thing that I will want to take. But as far as like the 4 main core classes that are kind of like core for everybody, this is the 4th out of 4. So this is kind of a big milestone in my personal goals toward becoming a teacher in the reclaiming tradition. And yeah, so I'm not going to tell you a ton more about it right now anyway, because I'm in the middle of it, other than just I wanted to say I'm in the middle of that and it's really exciting. And it's a lot of really tough work. It's a lot of good work. And yeah, that's another thing I have going on right now. So with that, I will leave you. Thank you so much for watching and or listening. I hope that it was nice to get a little update from me, spend some time listening to me yammer on, and I hope I didn't freak anyone out too much. We're all doing okay. I just felt like I should update you, and yeah. Thank you all so much. I will see you next time. I don't know when that will be. And until then, don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.